What's up? Welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I am Morrow, your storyteller for today. With me I have some more RPG horror stories. I got a big question. Is mayonnaise an instrument? While you answer that, I'm gonna get to the first RPG horror story for today. Fighter and company kill my wizard and nearly cause a TPK, so that the druid can come back from the dead. Played a game a few years back where the DM was roommates with two of the players. The two players decided at the beginning of the game, with the DM's approval, that one of their PCs, the fighter, should murder the other PC, the druid. They decided to accomplish this 31 sessions into the game by having the fighter team up with 5 9th level spellcaster NPCs, a frost giant skeleton, and a winter wolf to attack the entire party, all at level 5. The fighter was also granted by the DM the ability to cast Misty Step at will, and regenerate HP even when knocked down to 0. Wow, homebrew hell. This fight ended with the fighter getting back up from being knocked out by the paladin, then teleporting to and killing the druid. The paladin deciding not to lay on hands of my wizard, making death saves currently 2-1, and instead attack the HP regenerating fighter to try and recover the druid's body. And my wizard rolling a nat 1 on her next death save and dying, had inspiration, but as the DM ran inspiration as a 1d4, he refused to let me use it to nullify the nat 1. Oh, so you nullify inspiration into guidance. Yeah, thanks DM, that's really cool of you, thank you. Good lord. As 2 NPCs showed up to drag off my wizard's body, the paladin continued trying to attack the fighter, and the fighter naturally continued regenerating HP, getting back up from 0, and ultimately knocking the paladin out and dragging off the druid's body. At this point, a 3rd NPC, who was level 15 wizard cleric, very much a DNPC, showed up to stabilize the paladin and the ranger, who had gotten knocked out in the proceedings to prevent a TPK. After the dust settled, in the following weeks, the fighter and paladin both posted memes in a campaign Discord server making fun of the wizard's death. A little bit of side context I kind of forgot to put in the beginning, so I'll just go ahead and put it right now. It is a response, or like a thread or continuation of a thread from a Reddit post basically stating when was the time your character died due to a party. Basically seeing if your character ever died because of party's actions and stuff. And clearly here, for whatever reason, the DM is gearing up fighter with all kinds of homebrew hell stealth in order to just initiate PvP. Like, why? What's the point? Why are you PvPing other players? Why are you antagonizing people? What is the point for any of this? When I griped about the whole thing a month later, after a session where the dead wizard wasn't mentioned even once, the druid told me to forget about the dead wizard and focus on my new artificer. When I commented that I wanted to ask if I could bring back my wizard as a reborn, but wasn't sure who in universe would be willing to bring her back, the DM laughed and commented, "Guess you should have prayed more." The fighter and druid were also open about having helped the DM script that fight. The DM denied this, however, claiming a few weeks later that he hasn't said the fight's outcome beforehand, and that the paladin leaving my wizard to die nearly succeeded in saving the druid. 4 months after the near TPK, the druid phoned me to let me know that the upcoming session it will be revealed that his warlock was in fact the revenant of the druid. That this whole thing has been planned from the start of the campaign, so the druid could come back to life and murder the fighter back. I subsequently left the campaign. I'm glad you did, because this is a lot of nonsense plotting that is going on behind the scenes, and DM just kind of sucks. I mean, DM, druid, and fighter just kind of plotting along together without wizard being able to do anything just sucks, dude. What's the point of trying to PvP and TPK a fellow player just so that he can have another twist ending for another player out there? This sucks. The group sucks. I'm glad you left the group. Seriously, not worth your time in the slightest. Anyway, let's get to the next story for today. Harassed after leaving a hot mess of a server. To make an exceptional long story short, I'm not a D&D player. I have friends who is and talked me into joining him on Discord pay-by-post D&D server, playing a homebrew Strahd module. He's an HM there, or was until all this, or a hunt master. So he runs hunts and danks. Danks? Daily encounters. Oh, weird lingo. I introduced myself as I've never played D&D, I'm from World of Darkness, this is all new to me. First it was all friendliness and getting to know a few other players out there, the system and etc. I read through the rule threads and the setting threads and whatnot because I do have experience with TTRPGs, just not D&D. I know if you're new to a setting you need to read up on the rules and flavoring and what the player is supposed to be like. I read about the crashed and broken economy, apparently Dragon Hunter flooded the market, and now everything has an outrageous buy price. It's a bit hard to make gold starting off. Thought this sounded cheese, but whatever. My friend helped me set up a little, as he was retiring a character and offloaded a bunch of gold on my character as I was entering the town and his character leaving. So I rolled up a changeling Eloquence Bard Sounded like the most interesting to me, and I thought I could enjoy playing a character who could play support while also being a bit sneaky. Could be fun, I thought. Around the time I started out, I was also having to learn how to use the Tupper bot as well as Avray that they're using in the server. I'd always in the past simply done up a character sheet and voice chat or in person for playing, so this was all super new to me. On top of a new system I'd not played before as well. Tupperbot is actually pretty cool. It allows you to basically like roleplay as your character, but like in Discord and stuff. It's a bit complex to learn at first, but it's pretty okay. It's pretty neat. The main premise of this server that I began to see as time went on is that most of the people already in the server, especially in positions of power, or friends or had known each other a while. Only one Huntmaster made me feel somewhat welcome and was helpful. Everyone else was rather standoffish. Even in the roleplay, and the one HM that was nice was apparently married to another HM, who was mostly not. It's important to include that the one Huntmaster's wife apparently had a problem with a friend of mine who invited me to the server. My friend is kind of an idiot with massive foot and mouth syndrome. I've known him for over a decade now, so I'm used to his less than appropriate jokes and typically wave him off. But wife Huntmaster's entire beef with him stemmed from one inappropriate joke he made about censorship a good while back. She'd been going after him ever since for any tiny offense, real or imaginary. Currently we got a lot of hot-headed Huntmasters basically, and it's probably going to be the problem with the server. The story is about how the hell happened after leaving the server, not during, which is crazy to me, but also makes sense. I've been in that situation. So one day we're pinging and try to get a hunt together. Some days it can take no time, and some days it can take hours or even days. This day it went really fast. I usually hunted or danced with my friends as he walked me through what I need to do, or how to type the roles, etc. I've been there literally a week. I was doing better, but not 100% obviously. So the hunt gathers and my friends didn't jump in time, and I'm playing with 3 other people I don't know. One offers to self-run as they're the HM. I protest this because apparently it was a rule my friend caught flag over. Can't self-run as HM without having at least attempted to ping a HM first and wait a bit. There's no rule on how long to wait. The protest was waved off and away we went. Nobody came to get on the guy's case was self-running. So the dank happens, and not only do we have this mess of a role combat in this channel, RP in this other channel, but we could instead have done a thread inside the channel we RP in to run combat roles, making the server less of a mess while literally over 50, possibly 100 channels. But on top of that, we apparently had to use a map to highlight where our characters and NPCs baddies were. I wasn't asked if I wanted to use a map, I was told. My phone nearly broke trying to bounce between so much nonsense when we could easily have figured out we were at through decent RP, or as some later explained to me, there are apparently maps inside Discord you can use if you want. To be perfectly honest, I've never used maps, never needed them. I can understand if someone isn't good at visualizing things, they might need a map. But I think it's ridiculous to require everyone to use a map if they don't need it. And the worst of it all is that I ended up moving my character maybe twice. Use a map for a long dungeon, there's no need for one in a 10 to 15 minute long dank. Have they considered just using a VTT? Probably would have been so much faster and easier. And I believe most VTTs out there, well not maybe most, but some of them definitely work on mobile, 100%. So we did the dank. Hag was in disguise. 2 hags really, but one got killed pretty quickly. We went invisible, and so I decided to roll up to give a bonus action using my Bardic Inspiration die to a player that I gotten good hit in already, and readied a vicious mockery for when the hag became visible. Despite me having not yet gotten a hit on this hag, the Huntmaster had to target me, run much more than their walking action should have allowed them, slip behind me and clawed my throat. Mind you, I was the newest lowest level and squishiest player on top of being a support. There's little chance in my mind the hag would target a teensy scrappy bard over the maniac fledgling running around thunderbolts that killed off their companion already, but it happened. I was down to half health. Using my Bardic Inspiration, the other player double-teamed the hag and fried it crispy. So there we are, getting ready to end the RP, and the other guys are more or less chest-bumping over their victory, and walking off into the sunset, ignoring the bard, who had the throat ripped apart. RP that I ripped the hem of my shirt to staunch the bleeding and stumble off back to my house to heal. They got the same amount of XP as me, despite the RP ignoring the vast majority of the surroundings, despite half the time rolling a combat action and not RPing it. And when loot was rolled, there were 5 items and 4 players, and the dude that was a Huntmaster just stated that he was getting 2 items and everyone else got 1. Yeah, I mean, all this sucks and all, but like, why couldn't they use a VTT? I feel like this would have been so much easier if you had just used a VTT, text chatted in the VTT like Roll20 and stuff. You'd be able to see what's going on, be able to take turns, roll your abilities properly, be able to see where y'all are and stuff, and kind of go from there. Anyway, It looks to me like there's a lot of power gaming going on, or not really power gaming, just like ego tripping, like hunt masters claiming 2 items instead of 1. There's a lot of weird things going on this server, but I guess we'll continue going to see how bad it derails. I'm kinda curious, so I'm mad of course, but I take some deep breaths and let it go. Well, mostly. The dank system is new, so I left feedback in the appropriate channels suggesting if someone phones an unknown RP, they should be docked XP versus someone giving it their best. I suggest that loot should be equally shared. Nobody should just take without everyone being in agreement. It is uneven loot versus players. The items not wanted should be sold and the gold split as equal as possible. I suggest if someone doesn't want to use a map, they shouldn't have to, as the danks are so short, it's usually a moot point on movement by the time the danks wrap up. Next day, I'll go to a dank again. By this point, my friend is pissed because the wife huntmaster keeps harassing him. I'm pissed because the whole server is a mess, but we dank anyway because what could go wrong? Same dude that HM the day before pops in, and one of the other guys who was friends with him, HM, I am officially changing, I'm done with the HM stuff. GM it is, makes it so much easier. Same dude the GM the day before pops in, and one of the other guys who was friends with the GM, but I had no beef with. We get ready to go. My friend says he's in role-playing and will take a cut to XP for it because he can't juggle maps on 2 channels on his Dino phone, and he also danking with a different character at the time the one started. We come across some supposedly friendly strangers trying to move a cart in the road. The previous GM, not self-running this time, decides he's going to help out and is making strength checks. I'm weary because yesterday's events were supposedly friendly strangers who turn into hags, so I stand back with a hand on my crossbow as I'm not even built for strength checks anyways. The GM running asks if anyone's going to help. I say I could potentially use suggestion to get the NPCs involved with moving the cart, as I'm not stated to be of much of use many other ways. GM asks if I have components for this spell. This, mind you, is the very first and only time I've been asked if I had components for a spell, because I'm a bard. My spells are cast using a spell focus, my flute or drums. If it required a material component, usually rules as written states to use the material component, but this has literally never come out before from any other GM running the danks. So I'm assuming it was homebrew and hand-waved away. This one, double down. If you already have a casting focus, you don't need material component. And like with bard and stuff, if it's their instrument, as long as I have their instrument, it should be fine. Are there games out there that actually actively keep track of material components for spellcasting? I've been on only a few, but I just don't see a point to it. If you have a thing that you can cast spells with, then just use that. Like if it's an item that costs gold, like a gilded acorn or something, right? That is fine, because that's an actual item that requires gold. But if it's like bat guano in order to fire a fireball, do you really need bat crap in order to fire a fireball? Can't you just like... you know, just it's fired away anyway. You know, gonna be kind of disappointing that you don't have bat feces on you to just toss with a fireball. Now, I have zero issues playing rules as written if it's stated we're playing rules as written. I have zero issues playing homebrew if you're playing homebrew. Always observe the house rules or whatever table I play at, and have no problem with complying if it's already been stated. These are the rules, that's what we do here. I do not, however, take well with the idea that one GM will use rules as written, while another GM will use homebrew, while yet another GM just uses rule of cool, and that's it. And then being reprimanded like a child that it's obvious we use rules as written in this particular instance, and you should know better. When the server is a hot mess over homebrew, rules is written, nobody knows what they're doing, and everyone is doing their own thing independent of everyone else, what else was the GM and rules lawyer player from the day before expect me to say? I stated I never once been made to have components before because I am a bard, I assumed, as well as nobody had even once brought it up. Aggressively arguing over the rules continued, and I just got fed up. I left the entire server, primarily for my sanity and health, as I could feel my blood pressure skyrocketing. The rules I had looked up through never once outlined components, so use a versus spellcasting focus for spells, just for the record. They specify plenty about the economy, and you can only hunt dank once a day. They are RP in appropriate channels, but really there was little to nothing about the way wacky homebrew rules and what rules is written is applied to or not, which I find to be helpful going into a game typically. Well, if it's not outlined anywhere and it's really DM's fiat, then that's a mess. I'm glad you left. And look, there's way more to this paragraph, so I wonder what happened. The final worst part of this whole disaster was that one of the guys from the server later sent me a Discord friend request. I had not interacted much with them, I was wary. I asked my friend and he said they hadn't said much or anything in the server, but my friend also left the server minutes after I did. So I accepted the request and the guy started talking to me. Started out with an apology for laughing that I didn't know rules as written, which was incorrect, and I said so. I know rules are written, I just was never told that particular rule was in effect in what server, as half the time rules are written is tossed out and half the time it's not, with zero indication given for new players as to when that would happen until they happen. It slowly morphed into him harassing me for exactly the descriptions of what I felt was wrong with this server, and debating and nitpicking every single response I gave. So somebody from the server just wanted to add you to pick a fight on Discord? These guys got nothing going on. They just want to pick fights on Discord just because they can make up their mind over what's to do, what to run. This is nonsense. Finally, I just said that if he was going to be stalking me with a Google feedback survey, he could tell his buddies in a server 10 out of 10 would never play again. Massive regret. He said his friends were in exams and likely wouldn't respond. Then he started on how my friends had returned to the server just moments after we had both left, was already back playing again. For the record, I'm a survivor of abuse of most kinds and don't tolerate gaslighting, manipulation, or mind games of any capacity. I gave the guy a piece of my mind and blocked him. Minutes later, my friend sent me a screenshot where the guy moved on to harass him, stating that I was nuts and he might want to consider distancing himself, as I was clearly mentally unstable. With a screenshot of my telling the dude off for trying to make me think my friend was a liar. We laughed over it and went on to planning on a homebrew D&D server, which would be Zelda inspired and carried on with our day. All's well that ends well, and I wish y'all good luck with the D&D homebrew server. But seriously, those DMs or hunt masters or whatever, they literally got nothing going on with their lives except harassing people that basically just said, you know what, I'm down with the server, I'm out. Seriously. So pathetic, so weird, such a weird thing to do. What a weird champ thing to do. Completely unnecessary, but I mean, some people are just gonna be jerks, I guess. It's not really the moral of the story. If the server sucks that you join in, bow out and start your own thing. And I agree with you, and I completely support you in starting your own homebrew server with your buddy. And with that, that's gonna be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales Tomorrow. Bye-bye.